Today, we're looking at car types and styles. What's the difference between an SUV and a crossover? A coupe and a sports car and a supercar and hypercar. So hop in and let's see how to identify what's what. There are lots of different car types and styles, and they differ in size, purpose, price, number of doors, seats, and other features. And if that's not enough, there are different classifications in North America, Europe, Australia, and other parts of the world. So who sets these rules in the US? And what's the difference between popular passenger car types? So here in the US, we have the United States Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and HTSA or NHTSA, Federal Highway Administration FHWA, and the U.S. Census Bureau USCB. There's also a nonprofit organization, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety IIHS, which also has its own vehicle classification system. To give you an idea, for example, the EPA classifies cars by interior volume, whereas NHTSA groups cars by weight class, and IIHS groups cars by curb weight and shadow. So there is no one absolute universal rule or standard. But let's talk about configuration. A car body configuration is determined by the engine layout, plus the passenger and trunk volumes, which can be shared or separately articulated. A key design feature is the pillars that support the roof, from the A pillar, B pillar, C pillar, or D pillar. Common configurations include the 3-box layout, which you see in sedan, where you have a separate engine compartment, separate passenger cabin, and separate cargo space. There's also the 2-box layout, which we see in the typical hatchback, where the passenger and cargo volume area are shared. Then there's the 1-box layout, which we see in minivans. So let's dive into car body types. When you hear the word car, most people envision a sedan in their head. The word car is pretty much synonymous with sedan, because traditionally it's the longest existing body style historically, and it's the most common car type we see on the road. Characteristics of a sedan include a 3-box configuration. A sedan has 4 doors, 2 rows of seats, and a closed roof that extends over the second row seats and then tilts over a traditional trunk. Generally, sedans are cheaper and offer better mileage and handling. They have lower center of gravity and can negotiate sharp corners well. Can you tell the difference between a hatchback and a wagon? Both are based on the sedan platform. A hatchback looks like a sedan, but with gradually sloping roofline, you have a rear door that swings upward to give convenient access to cargo space. It has either 3 doors or 5 doors. America saw its first hatchback in the early 1960s. Some of the first hatchbacks were the Ford Pinto and Ford Bobcat, but it was the Dodge Omni and Plymouth Horizon, released in 1978, that set America's standard of the hatchback. A wagon is kind of like an extended hatchback with a larger cargo space. It offers similar cabin space as a sedan. A typical wagon has a 2-box configuration. That means the middle row passenger and cargo spaces are shared in one compartment. Wagons were especially popular in the 1950s to the 1970s. Did you know that the station wagon had humble beginnings? Initially, it was used to transport people and cargo after they got off trains. The early design was based on a truck platform without doors. In the 1920s, Ford began using a wood-based design, and it became popular. The station wagon reached its peak in the 1960s, and it came with multiple creative options. Those were its glory days. So what's the difference between a sedan and a coupe? The coupe is usually based on the same platform as a sedan, has a fixed roof, and conventionally comes with 2 doors, although there are some 4 doors out there. It's generally a sportier look than the sedan with edgier visual elements, and its priority is muscle and performance. So what's a convertible? Most people know it doesn't have a fixed roof. Instead, it has retractable or a removable roof. Did you know that in the past, convertibles used to be called convertible coupes? But over time, the word coupe came to be associated exclusively with closed-type roofs. Nowadays, the convertibles feature can be applied, not just to a coupe, but to the sedan, wagon, or even an SUV. So what's a cabriolet? Well, it's just the French word for a convertible. What's the difference between a convertible, roadster, or spider? Initially, roadster was an American term for an open 2-seater, so no roof at all. Best if you live someplace where it never rained. But nowadays, the usage of the term roadster has spread internationally and has evolved to include 2-seat convertible. So a roadster is a convertible, but a convertible is not necessarily a roadster. But now let's talk about sports cars. A sports car can be a sporty coupe or a convertible, but not all coupes and convertibles are sports cars. Sports cars are known to be fast, flashy, and expensive. Generally, they are two-seaters, but sometimes they can have small rear seats. Put broadly, a conventional sports car is designed with an emphasis on dynamic performance like handling, acceleration, and speed. Oftentimes, a sports car is a small two-door car, often a two-seater, featuring sophisticated styling, powerful drivetrain for enhanced performance, and responsive steering for excellent handling. These cars are usually expensive and bought as a second or third car for recreational use. Let's say you spot a premium ultra-sleek sporty car. Is it a sports car, supercar, or hypercar? Well, both the supercar and the hypercar are a type of sports car, and a hypercar is a type of supercar, but not all supercars are hypercars. Is that confusing enough for you? So what qualifies a sports car to be a supercar? In a nutshell, lots of horsepower, a boatload of cash, and lap time. A supercar is a car with high performance, technology, design, and price. Typically, it's performance that's used as the qualifier. Examples include the McLaren F1, Ferrari Enzo, Lamborghini Reventon, and Bugatti Veyron Supersport. Many people use the term supercar and hypercar interchangeably, but a hypercar is the top 1% of supercars, the cream of the crop. A hypercar is an ultra-high-performance supercar, and you can't get much better than that. The qualifier isn't concrete and clear, of course, and in that sense, you could say there is subjectivity here. But one thing is for sure, when you look across hypercars, you can sense they're in their own exclusive league. Take, for example, the Ferrari SF90 Stradale, the successor of the LaFerrari, or the Mercedes AMG 1, Aston Martin Valkyrie, Bugatti Divo, or Koenigsegg Jesko. But now let's talk about trucks. Not long-haul trucks, of course. I'm talking about light truck with 2- or 4-door passenger cabs, an open cargo platform with low sides, and a loading hatch at the rear. Typically, they offer excellent off-road performance and towing capability. Trucks are extremely popular in the U.S. Last year, over 11 million light trucks were sold in the U.S. That's more than the population of the entire state of North Carolina. Pickup trucks currently fall into two main size categories, full-size and mid-size. One of the most popular full-size trucks is the Ford F-150, which has been the top-selling vehicle in the United States since 1982. We also see the Ram 1500, GMC Sierra 1500, Toyota Tundra, and Chevy Silverado. When it comes to mid-size pickups, it's a combination of power with decent fuel efficiency, as well as plenty of cargo space and towing practicality. That's why America loves them so much. And popular mid-range pickups are Honda Ridgeline, Ford Ranger, and the Toyota Tacoma. Would it surprise you to hear that minivans and SUVs are categorized under the same truck class? Minivans are primarily a family van, best for carrying people and cargo. A typical feature is its sliding doors and a rear hatch. Most have adjustable seats in the second and third rows that can often be removed or folded. Minivans ride high, which means better visibility for the driver, and it's easier to get into the car. Did you know the minivan saved the Chrysler Company? Back in the early 1980s, there was no ideal car for the average American family. Sales of sedans and station wagons had been decreasing because families needed to save on gas money during the oil crisis. What America needed was a vehicle that drove like a car, had good fuel economy, and comfortable passenger space. Around this time, Chrysler was in financial trouble, but then they introduced America's first minivan back in 1983. The minivan saved them from their financial woes and extinction. Chrysler had triplets, the Chrysler Town & Country, Dodge Caravan, and the Plymouth Voyager. These minivans sold like crazy. That's why soon after, American and Japanese competitors started developing their minivan versions too. By 2008, Chrysler owned 41% of the minivan market in the U.S. So what's the difference between the minivan and the SUV? Well, an SUV has better off-road performance than a minivan because it's usually built on a sturdy chassis, often borrowed from light trucks. Many SUVs offer all-wheel drive and generally have a more modern appeal. Also, it has a wagon-like cargo compartment accessed through the hinged rear door hatch. Full-size SUVs have 3 rows of seats, and they prioritize size and comfort. Take, for example, the Ford Expedition or Chevy Tahoe. Did you know the SUV began its life as a military vehicle? It was during World War II when America needed a utility vehicle that was tough, capable of transporting men and equipment off-road on rough terrains, yet was easy to repair. The first utility vehicle was the Willys Jeep that produced 60 horsepower and 105 foot-pounds of torque. After the war, the Land Rover Company in England created a light utility vehicle, which they based on the Willys Jeep, to use for farmers. Farmers loved it. And another war happened. This time it was the Korean War in 1950. The U.S. military needed vehicles again, and this time they worked with Japan. The byproduct was the Toyota Land Cruiser, and the rest is history. So what's the difference between a crossover and an SUV? A crossover is a type of SUV. Crossovers have 2 rows of seats, where a full-sized SUV, for example, has 3 rows. So the crossover is shorter and smaller. Crossovers are built on the sedan platform, but borrow some features of the SUV, such as higher ground clearance and seating. But unlike SUVs, crossovers have less off-road capability. On the other hand, crossovers are cheaper and consume less fuel. They also have improved handling and visually resemble the toughness of an SUV. Some of the most popular crossovers include the Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, and Mazda CX-3. Car makers continue to blur the lines as they develop new styles and shapes, almost like vehicular crossbreeding and genetic modification. Take, for example, Mercedes GLE 53 and GLE 63S AMG. They're in the class for sport utility coupes. Basically, they apply 4-door coupe elements like the chopped roofline, smaller windows, and faster back rear to the sports utility category. Even the naming intrigues you, and the marketing team knows it. If you like this episode, please subscribe to my channel for more exciting car technology and history videos. Thanks for your support.